Welcome to the PTSD podcast with your host, comedian and military veteran, Bernard the Laugh Therapist Hines, where we discuss PTSD, processing traumatic situations differently, and give you tools to help you overcome the stigma of seeking help. If you're ready to be inspired, then welcome to the Stigma-Free Zone. Here's your host, the Laugh Therapist himself, Bernard Hines.
What up, good people? What up, good people? How are y'all doing today? Thank you and welcome to season 3 of PTSD, Processing Traumatic Situations Differently. Thank y'all for rocking with me. This is season 3. This is the start of a new year. Everybody got New Year resolutions. You're going to lose weight. You're going to save money. We got all these different things we're going to do. But I want to make sure everybody do one thing in this new year. Take care of your mental health. All right. All right. As you all know, hey, we here to inform, enlighten, and become advocates for one another as we learn more productive ways to process our trauma. Always remember, though, as a therapist, I am not licensed. I am just medicated. Welcome to the Stigma-Free Zone. Listen, y'all, I got a great show on today. I have a young lady I'm going to bring to the stage, y'all, Miss Marly Brodsky. She is awesome. She does great things, and I think I just froze. All right, she does great things, and what we're going to do, y'all, we're going to bring her to the stage right now, y'all. Miss Marly Brodsky. Put your hands together, y'all. Put your hands together. Clap, clap, clap. Hi. How you doing, Marly? Thank you for being here.
I'm doing outstanding. How are you? Thank you for having me.
No, it is awesome. It is awesome. Listen, y'all, I got to tell y'all how me and this young lady met. Oh, man. Yeah, if y'all don't know, there's a video going around that's been viral. Me and Trish, we did a video about her going to my VA appointment, and I'm telling you, it has taken off. And the only concept I wanted was people to say, if you are married, please be informed of what your spouse's health is. And someone stole it. And then they sent it to Miss Brodsky, and I was going around and I saw it, and I was like, thank you for sharing my video. And she was like, oh my God, this is not, you're not, oh, I did this, oh. And she felt so bad. So I said, no, let's make it right. Come on my podcast. You're doing a great thing. But thank you for being such a great person. And it was great meeting you. Regardless of how we met, you are doing a great thing. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Miss Marly.
Yeah, well, our story is so crazy, but I'm so glad it happened. I'm like,
yes.
You know what? Everything happens for a reason.
For a reason.
That video, having the wrong person being credited, that led me to you, was incredible. And I'm so thankful for that opportunity.
Yes.
But I'm Marly Brodsky. I am a board certified health education specialist where I help people understand their health and navigate the healthcare system with confidence by providing a medical advocate in their pocket. So that is what I have been doing the last couple of years. And prior to that, I used to work as an executive for a medical scribe company across all of the U.S. And I worked with thousands and thousands of doctors in all different specialties. And I've been in the industry for 16 years. So right now I am very passionate about helping people understand their health because it doesn't have to be complicated.
That's right.
And the reason that I loved your video with your wife so much is like people don't understand how important it is to have an advocate, and not everybody has that opportunity to have somebody there with them, whether it's a wife or a husband or a loved one. And because of that, a lot of things get lost in translation, and that is where we come in. So I'm so excited to be here.
That's great. So listen, y'all, we're going to talk about a plethora of things. And as I've always said, if you ever feel overwhelmed by something we're talking about, trauma related, please step away, regroup, and then come back. So we're going to get to the part where you are now as the CEO. But before then, I read that you were homeless.
That is correct.
and now, how did that happen?
Yeah. So that is a very interesting story. My parents used to run a very successful landscape company growing up. So my parents did landscape and construction. So I grew up spending my summers helping my dad how to do caulking and grouting and all those things. I could be pretty handy with tools. But my parents had a very successful landscape and construction company. And unfortunately, as it happens in business, my dad brought in the wrong business partner. Things started going south. And before we knew it, our house was put for collateral for a big loan, I guess, for the business. How it ended up there, I think it was just a plethora of like just one decision after another that was not supposed to take place. But we woke up one day in 2001 and we had a sheriff come to our beautiful home and tell us we had 15 minutes to pack whatever we could. And that was it.
Now, how old were you?
I was 12 years old.
Oh, wow. Wow. Childhood trauma.
Yeah. So I was 12 years old. I'm the oldest of four, but at that time I was the oldest of three. So my siblings at that time were 10 and 8. And then my mom had just found out she was pregnant. So there was now a baby on the way as well.
Wow. That was, now you talking about stress and traumatic, and that was something that you had to deal with. And resiliency, y'all overcame that.
Yes, we did.
You overcame that, and then you got hit with something else, right?
That is correct. Yes.
And what was that? That was your brain tumor survivor. Like, come on, y'all, let's give it up for that. Let's give it up for that. Let's give it up for that. Now, go ahead. Now, how did that strike you?
Yeah, I mean, after going through homelessness and finally getting into college, which was not something I thought I would do, especially not after all those years of homelessness. I was like, you know what, God, thank you. We did it. We're here. And then a month into starting college, and not to brag, but I did get a full ride into college. So
come on now. What school? What school was that?
San Diego State University.
Come on, the Aztecs. Come on now.
That's correct. So I did get a full ride and I was super excited. I'm like, you know what? This is how my life turns around. And a month into college, I remember waking up one morning, not feeling half my body. And I just fell out of bed because when I tried to get up and out of bed, I didn't feel half my body.
Okay.
So I figured like maybe my body's asleep. Maybe I slept wrong. You know, you want to think all the positive things. And then I couldn't get up. So I started screaming for help. And at that time I was living with my parents. We were sharing a little house. And I was like, I can't feel half my body. I can't move. So they took me to the doctor and I knew in my head that something was not right.
Correct.
I was like, maybe I had a stroke. Maybe I had something. I never thought I was going to walk out of a hospital with a diagnosis of a brain tumor. So
before then, there was no symptoms or anything before then?
I had been having headaches, but
Okay.
I thought it was just from like school stress, something new, something different. I started working very young as a way to help my parents through homelessness and provide. So I thought maybe I was just burnt out. And I didn't really pay a lot of attention to that. I was like,
Okay.
I just need more sleep. I just need more coffee. I just need, this. I needed everything except taking my health, essentially. That's what it came down to.
Correct.
So that's when my parents took me to the hospital, and I knew right there that something was not right when the doctor's like, I want to talk to your parents first. And
wow, yeah.
So I knew, and when they came back and I saw they had been crying, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is how it ends for me. Like, this is where I die.
Correct.
And that's when they told me I had a brain tumor.
And what age was that?
18.
So we go from 12 homelessness,
yes,
to finally getting back on your feet. Now I'm going to college.
Yes.
I'm in college 1 year, and now all of a sudden I get hit with the brain tumor.
I was in college for 1 month.
1 month?
1 month into college, yeah.
Wow. Then you get hit with the brain tumor. So how was that process?
It was very difficult because one, we were still recovering from like a 9-10 year on and off homelessness situation. Okay. When you're homeless and you're trying to make ends meet, it takes one drastic situation to put you back into homelessness. So it seemed like it was a never ending cycle, and we were finally getting back on our feet. But what was hard was I didn't have health insurance. My parents couldn't afford that. So thinking about what is this going to mean for my parents, for my family, for me, how are we going to pay for this, was very difficult. not understanding a lot of the medical terminology or the jargon of all the things they were telling me was pretty overwhelming. And I think that a lot of people out there can relate when you are at a doctor's office and you are told a brand new diagnosis, perhaps one you've never even heard of before.
Correct.
In my case, I'm like, young people don't have brain tumors, right?
Correct.
Why am I
Correct.
getting a brain tumor? And processing all of that, you kind of go through a phase of like brain fog where you're hearing what the doctor is telling you, but you're not really understanding or processing. So for me, it was one of those things where like I heard everything they told me. I was really sad about it, but I hadn't really processed it until about a week later, where I finally woke up and I was like, oh my God, I have a brain tumor. Like,
a week later, right? It's like
a week later. Yes.
Wow.
A week later. And that's where I like broke down. I started crying because everyone's like, wow, you're taking it so well. Like you're so calm, but it only took a week. It took a week. And then I was like, okay, I'm not calm anymore. And I'm not well.
Reality, right?
Reality sunk in. And I'm like, oh, what does this mean for school? What do I have to do? Like I just got this amazing scholarship. I just started school. And to me, it just started to feel like my life was ending right
Correct.
there. And I had to figure out what to do. And my parents were stressed out about what are we going to do? How are we going to give you the treatment that you need?
Now, did you feel it any time that your family is getting back on the feet? Now here I come, and now I have did you ever feel like it was, why me? Why am I putting my family under this?
1,000%.
Wow.
Yeah. There's like a lot of guilt, and
right.
that why me mentality actually put me in a very depressive stage.
Okay.
Where I became very depressed because I'm of course now I'm going to add this additional burden to my family. And it almost made it where I no longer wanted to try to be alive or survive.
Okay.
Like, you know what? If this is how it ends, it's probably better. Like maybe it should happen very quickly so my parents don't have to like stress about it. You know?
Correct. Correct.
It was actually like my dad's words that really helped me get through it and cope with it. And there was a point where I wasn't getting out of bed. I was not going to school, even though I didn't sign the papers to withdraw because I was like, well, at least I'm going to keep going until I can no longer go to school. Like I worked really hard to get here and I'm not giving up that scholarship. So I refused to sign the paperwork.
Good.
But then I started going into depression. So I stopped going to school. I didn't want to get out of bed. I'm a big girly girl. I love putting on my makeup and wearing heels and always looking put together. So I stopped doing that, which was like an indicator for my family that like something's not right with her.
Correct.
And then I stopped eating and I was really going through this downward spiral.
Okay.
And I remember my dad like hugging me and being like, honey, everything happens for a reason.
Wow.
And if God is allowing this to happen, then he's got a bigger purpose for you. And we might not know what that is. He's like, but I am going to tell you this. He's like, pain is inevitable, but being miserable is a choice.
Ooh, say that, please, 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 because I need to hear that sometimes. Say that one more time for the people that's listening.
My dad's words to me at my lowest point was, pain is inevitable, but being miserable is a choice.
Ha! That's great. That's great right there. That's words of wisdom.
And it was those words that really shifted my mindset.
Okay.
Where it was like, okay, I am in pain. I am miserable, but that is my choice too. And I started to see the positive things in my life instead of focusing on the why me mentality or I'm going to die mentality or I'm not going to have a future. It was more like, okay, I feel awful today, but what am I going to do to like make it a good day? Sometimes it was, hey, I feel good enough to go to school. I'm going to go to school today. And that's what I would do. And my parents would drive me. That was a whole other thing, like being dropped off at school as like a 19-year-old by your parents, you know.
And San Diego State is a nice large school.
Yeah. Everyone knows when you're being dropped off. So that was a process, but I started to slowly focus on all the things and started focusing on having more gratitude and not being miserable about it. Like, I'm like, okay, like if being miserable is a choice, then I'm going to choose to be happy. I'm going to choose to find happiness in little things. And before I knew it, it was all those little things. And because we live so close to the border, I was able to get treatment that my parents could afford in Mexico.
Okay.
So I was treated in Mexico for my brain tumor through a naturopathic doctor. So I did a lot of alternative medicine and diet and radiation therapy that was a little bit better for you.
Okay.
And that is ultimately how I overcame the brain tumor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That, I mean, to have a father that can speak those words of wisdom into you, I know that was powerful. Being a father myself, that we have to be the ones that, even though y'all might not see us cry, we might cry in the shower.
Yeah.
But when we come out to face our kids, and that is powerful. But I've always heard that a positive attitude is sometimes the best medicine.
Absolutely. I mean, I didn't believe it, but my dad's words and what he inspired me to do with my situation was very powerful. And I think that, I mean, God, of course,
right,
foremost, but I do feel that it was that change in mindset and positivity that then attracted more positivity into my life.
Wow.
Even during that difficult time, and my dad being such a spiritual man and always just having a lot of faith, and his tough love, sometimes we do that because I have seen, just working with a lot of patients, it's like when you have loved ones around you that start to feed into your depressiveness and start to like, let it be okay. It's okay to be depressed, instead of giving you that tough love that you need. Sometimes it's what keeps you there instead of like motivate you to come out of it or try
right
things.
So after we got through that, now we graduated college.
We did graduate college, and not with the best GPA, but we graduated.
Your GPA is not on your diploma. It's not on your degree. There's nowhere it said all this. There you go. It says San Diego State.
It does. It's
Marly Brodsky. There you go. There you go. And people don't know if it took 5 years, 6 years, 7 years. You have the degree.
It did take 5 years, and it was not a pretty GPA, which is what changed my original plan and what I wanted to do in my career.
Okay. Then we left there and we went to graduate school.
No, we did not.
We did not. Okay. What did we do?
So my big plan, and the reason why I wanted to go to college, or I found out I needed to go to college, was I wanted to become a doctor because I wanted to help people. I've always wanted to help people. It's something I really enjoyed, and I loved medicine. I love learning about the human body. It always excited me.
Okay.
But because I had such a low GPA,
it's probably best you didn't. Yeah, it's probably best you didn't become a doctor. You've been out there.
I know. But because I had such a low GPA, I was like very positive. I used my time in volunteering and being involved and hitting all the other aspects of that, like medical school application. So I did apply to 20 different medical schools, and all 20 of them rejected me, which was
so they do look at GPAs.
Oh, they do look at GPA. It's a big population. And for some of them, I was invited to go into an interview and potentially get in. And it always came down to that GPA. It was like this number that haunted me for years.
Okay.
It did come down to that, and I didn't get into medical school.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
well, make it your pick 3 number for life.
Yeah.
Whatever your GP, 1.48.
I know, right? So it was unfortunate, and I was really angry about that.
Okay.
And once again, my dad always finds me at my lowest points. And I always say this, I'm like, my mom's always like my rock and my support, and she's there for me. But my dad is more like my spiritual guide. He like always knows what to say when I needed those. So here I was in my living room with all my 20 rejection letters, crying because here goes the dream I had for myself, and I'm never going to be anyone. And my dad's like, honey, rejection is God's protection. And if he didn't want you to become a doctor, I'm pretty sure he has a bigger purpose for you.
Good gracious.
And I was like, Dad, I'm a broke college student that just graduated. I have 20 rejection letters here. Like, what am I going to do with my life?
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, I was working at Tri-City Hospital as a medical scribe. And the COO contacted me. She was like, hey, I heard you didn't get into medical school. I'm so sorry about that. But lucky for us, we are expanding our business and we need a traveling project manager to help set up medical scribe programs across the country. Would you like to do that? I was like, got nothing else going for my life. Sure, I'll go travel and set up programs on a company dime. So that's exactly what I did. And I've always been someone that seizes opportunities and takes the opportunities that come, and as I was traveling and implementing, I had the opportunity to pioneer medical scribes in the outpatient specialty settings, which had not been something that anybody had been able to successfully do up until that point. So I took on that challenge. I was like, I'll figure it out. I can do it. Pretty sure I set my mind to it. I could do it. Sure enough, I figured it out. So I was able to create all of the education surrounding medical scribes in ambulatory specialty settings. And then from there, I went on to grow with the company and then scale that entire division from 0 to 4,000 locations.
Wow.
And that is how I got to work with so many amazing doctors and nurses.
Come on now.
Providers.
Who needed you. Who needed you. Yeah.
And it was great because I kind of understood at that time what my dad was telling me. I was like, well, I wasn't helping people as a doctor, but I was helping doctors who could then impact so many other people. And I wasn't just one doctor, it was multiple doctors. And then as things evolved, my position also evolved. So I became an executive helping hospital systems optimize patient care while simultaneously maintaining their revenue, which was very important. So I did that for a long time. And
all of this was traveling.
All of this was traveling. I traveled all over the country. I lived in 35 different states.
Wow.
And I worked in over 1,000 different hospitals across the country. And I also helped implement in Canada, and then we were working in Australia. So I was all part of that expansion as well. So it was an amazing experience and journey. And then in 2020, I was going through a lot with my daughter's health. I ended up losing my grandmother to breast cancer, and just having to put myself in like a patient / like caregiver role. It started to paint a different picture for me. I started to see all of the gaps. I started to see how complicated it was from a patient standpoint to navigate the system, to understand what the doctor was saying, to know what needed to happen. What happens when you get a life-altering diagnosis and now you have to go to more doctors, more medication, more treatment? A lot of things started to get lost in translation for my grandmother. And as a result of that, she did miss one of her biopsy appointments, which was the one that was going to determine how severe her cancer was. And she didn't get to really see another doctor for several months. And by the time she did, it was too late. And she passed within 3 months of her diagnosis.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
So taking in all of that grief and really seeing it from a patient perspective, I was like, that didn't need to happen. But what's out there to help patients navigate this better? And even if they're not there, like I didn't live near my grandmother, but I was still trying to help her remotely. And I didn't find anything. So it was a couple months, and I was in the middle of like my grieving, crying for my grandmother because she was like my second mom. And I woke up one night and I looked at my husband. I was like, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to create a solution for this. And I did.
Yes, you did. Wow. Now, tell us a little bit about this company.
Yes. So Med Companion started after realizing that there really wasn't a lot of support for patients to navigate the system.
Mm-hmm.
And granted, there's a lot of like health advocates and care coordinators out there. But when I looked at the process that they offered and having had the experience working in corporate healthcare, I realized that they were missing a really big thing. And that is being at the actual doctor's office.
Correct.
Like, you guys get everything from the patient after the patient is seen by the doctor. But having had the experience as a medical scribe, I knew how important that conversation between a doctor and a patient was.
Okay.
And I wanted to capture that. So I created an app, and through this app, I have placed humans on the other side that, just like this, they pop up on a screen and they're wearing a Med Companion shirt, and the doctor is in the room, the patient's holding their phone, or sometimes it's on the desk or on a counter, and we are virtually part of that conversation. So as the patient is talking to the doctor, we have all of the information ahead of time from the patient. We know their medical history. We know what they're trying to achieve, what they're trying to accomplish. We engage the family members. So like your wife, that video is so perfect because it covers the fact that it's like, no, everything's not fine, right? Everybody says, well, how was your doctor appointment? Oh, it's fine.
That's it.
And then I'm like, no, but things are not fine. Like, you have to go for something. And that is where we come in. We capture all the fine things that the doctor talks about. And when you're there as a patient, having been a patient that went through such a traumatic diagnosis myself, I know that you're not listening and you're not remembering everything.
Correct.
So now you have not only an advocate, but you have somebody that's taking notes for you, that's writing exactly what you need to do next, where you need to go, how you take your medications, and is also asking questions for you. So those questions that you can never remember to ask during your doctor appointment, that's where our Med Companions come in. And they ask questions. If doctors need any information from the family, it's like, hey, Med Companion, can you make sure that that Bernard's wife knows this or knows that? And we make sure that information is conveyed. So we like to bridge that gap and make sure that everybody's on the same page, because if you as a patient understands what is going on with your life and what you need to do health-wise, then you're going to go do it and you're going to have better health outcomes. You're going to be healthier as a result.
Correct.
And then if your wife knows what's going on, then she's going to be happy. Now she doesn't have to bother you about it, right? You have those awkward car conversations. And she knows exactly what's going on. And if you were like, you know what, I want my wife to have access to what was discussed in the room, we can always give her access through our app. And she can see it, she can read it, she can see what questions were asked, what questions were answered. So all of that is available. And then, of course, your doctors. We communicate with your doctors. If, let's say, you got prescribed a medication that for whatever reason your insurance didn't cover, we're like the first ones calling the doctor's office. Hey, this wasn't covered by insurance. Can you change it? And we can take care of it like that same day.
Wow. So have you ran into any doctors who didn't want to do this?
No.
That is amazing.
So that was one of the things when I first started this process. I was really scared, having been in a doctor setting. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty sure doctors are not going to want this, or doctors are going to be like concerned. But what we found is that doctors enjoy having us there because they're able to give more information. They're able to take more time. And also they're able to give us tasks too. If they're like, hey, I really want this patient to go see the cardiologist by this date, we make the appointments, we call, we make sure that happens. So we are coordinating everything on the back end on your behalf. And all you have to do is show up. Show up, your appointment's taken care of, medications are being managed. Your wife knows exactly what's going on.
Correct.
And then doctors love having us there. And we always make it a point, like nothing is recorded. It's all HIPAA. We're not there to evaluate how good your doctor is or
Right.
you did something right. And we tell them that we're like, nothing is being recorded. We're simply here to support our patient and you and whatever you need. And that is exactly how they treat us. And I have yet, knock on wood,
Right.
had to run across a doctor who did not appreciate us being virtually there or did not want us in the room.
Now, how long have your company been in business?
Yeah, it's going to be 4 years in 2025.
That's amazing. I am so glad we're doing this because I never even knew about this. And as we said, God has a reason for that video being used by you, not me finding you.
Yes.
Because as people get older, and also like me taking care of my mom and stuff like that, going to her appointments, this right here would be amazing because we get in arguments, me and my mom.
Yes.
He didn't say that. He did say that.
Yes.
Now you have something that you can show them. Now, how's this covered?
Yeah, so right now is primarily out of pocket. So we have out-of-pocket concierge support.
Okay.
But we also partner with different health systems
Mm-hmm.
who are looking to better support their patients and who have a very high Medicare population. So
Correct.
if you are on Medicare, Medicare does cover care coordination or what they consider as clinical support specialists to work alongside the doctors so that patients can have this support. So we're currently working with an ophthalmology practice in North Carolina. And we help a lot of their diabetic retinopathy patients who are about to have like eye surgery. We make sure they understand what that procedure is going to look like, what to expect, what things not to do, what not to eat. So the doctor has us there as an extension of himself and his team. So everything that they don't cover during the visit, we're talking to the patients, we're following up. How are you feeling? Did your medications work out? Do we need to change anything? So we're doing all of that. And our patients are just so happy. They love everything. They love their med companions, which is just so beautiful to see because the doctors are happy. It's one less thing they have to do, and they know that their patients are taken care of. So health systems with high Medicare patient populations, we tend to partner with them and help their patients navigate that system while simultaneously alleviating that that administrative burden from the doctors so they can just focus on being doctors too.
That's right. Oh, this really needs to be implemented in the VA system.
Yes, I would love to.
Oh my gosh, it really does. Because when we go to our appointment, 9 times out of 10, we've been trained to say nothing is wrong with us.
Right.
That's what we've been trained to say. You're never going to sit call. All you're going to do, take Motrin and go. That's why my wife, according to the VA, she is my caregiver, but we call her my partner in recovery.
Yes.
Because that allows both of us to have to do something.
Yes.
So when I do go to my appointments, if for some reason she can't make it, it's on speakerphone. Because I know my PTSD and my mind, I have tabs open all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And if I heard the doctor say something wrong, I'm like, hey, hold up. Now I forgot my whole thought process. So
exactly. Yes. And that's what happens.
What you're doing is a great work. And Med Companion, www.medcompanion, medcompanion.com. For those of you who went to public school, that's www.medcompanion.com. But I'm not going to let you get away from here without talking about that graduate school. And you went to graduate school doing all this.
Go to graduate school. So through all of this, I did end up going to graduate school. And it was kind of crazy, but simultaneously, I was looking for ways to cope with my burnout from working in corporate. I started baking. So I started baking and I started decorating cookies. So I'm a cookie artist.
Okay.
And I had this little bakery that I ran from my home. I had it licensed in Pennsylvania and I had all these inspections done so I could run my little bakery from home. So I was baking cookies very early in the morning, then working my corporate job and being a mom.
Yes.
But I was
Wow.
happy. I was like baking cookies and making other people happy. So I really enjoyed it. And I realized how much I loved the business side of things. Even though I
Okay.
knew nothing about business, I had a business. I'm like, okay, maybe I should go get my MBA and like try to figure it out. So I went to Rutgers to get my MBA. It was amazing.
Okay.
They had a really great program. And I don't know why I thought that having a newborn and a 2-year-old was the best time to go get an MBA, but I did.
Hey, hold up. You conquered homelessness. You conquered the brain tumor. Hey, why not just add something else to my plate?
Add it to the list. Yeah. Why not just go get an MBA as a new mom and, running
Wow.
a business in corporate. So I went and got my MBA at Rutgers. I did, however, I always told my husband, I'm like, I know that if my circumstances would have been different in college, I would have been a really great student and had the grades.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And sure enough, I graduated with a 3.8 from the graduate program.
Okay.
I do have my MBA. I love it. I learned a lot about how to manage a business, not necessarily how to start one, how to get funding. That part I didn't learn. But I did learn a lot on the administration and financial side of things, which have come in very handy when running a business of this scale. So I do credit a lot of my learnings from that. So now I have
That is awesome.
an MBA, and I don't think my husband. I don't think my husband knew exactly what he was signing up for when he was like, oh, sure, go get your MBA. But, we made it work. It took me 3 years, but I did it. And it was a really amazing experience.
Well, you sound like you have a great family. I've seen them on social media, your husband and your kids. You're doing a great thing. You're doing a great work. Keep doing what you're doing. I am definitely going to push this because this needs to be known. Everybody, I have always said, everybody needs an advocate. That's when people fall through the cracks.
100%. And if there's something that I've learned too, when I first started my business for Med Companion, I always thought healthcare falls through when big things happen, when, when there's a misdiagnosis or something is missed, right? And what I've learned is that healthcare starts to fall through when all the little things in your daily life are being missed. That is where it really starts to matter. So for us and what we do in Med Companion, it's all about making sure that in your daily things and what you do regularly with your doctors don't get missed, because in the end, those add up to be the big things. So from helping patients make sure they have their walker for better lifestyle, that is what we did. We had a son enroll his mom into our program who had been trying to get her a walker for 6 months and was getting the runaround from insurance, as we all know, those conversations. So he enrolled her. He's like, I don't know what else to do. And we took over, got her health back on track. Within a week, she had a brand new walker. We even asked for an upgraded walker. We were like, no, her old walker is not good enough. We want an upgrade, and we see that you cover it, so we're going to get that upgrade.
Wow.
So we did that, and it really does become a service where everybody wins, and that's what I want.
Right.
Everybody to win, and whether it's making sure you're getting your medications on time. If it means changing your pharmacy because your current one is not reliable, we're going to do that. We're going to advocate for you and make it happen.
Wow. You're doing as I say, you are doing a great work. You are doing a great work. I am so honored to have met you. And like I said, God does things the way he wants to do things. And I'm going to push Med Companion because I think I'm going to get my mom signed up on it, because
Absolutely.
my PTSD and having her go through, because it's not about that. It's about understanding. So stuff will be on the app, you say. The information, right. And
and we made it so that our app, what we're trying to do too, is we're trying to solve an even bigger problem, which I don't know if we'll get there. But ultimately, the other big problem in healthcare is that all of your information is everywhere. There is no one place that just has all of your information.
Mm-hmm.
Even for me, like I have my 2 kids, and I myself like was recently in the emergency room after like choking on a fishbone.
Okay.
And I remember like, I was like, oh, I already have your app. And they're like, no, but the emergency room one is different. So now you have to log into this other new app and make sure you have it. So what we're trying to solve is create a centralized place where your information that matters lives, and also give you a tool where you can track your own health. So our app does a lot more than just hold your records.
Got it.
It also allows you to document what you're eating. It allows you to document your blood pressure, your sugar levels, how often you're going to the bathroom, because for some people that's very important. It allows you to track your mood. How are you feeling? Is there a pattern of maybe depression, or you're too sad, or there's too much going on, and really taking the time to evaluate like, hey, are you okay? Like, is there something going on in your life that we need to address? Do we need to get you some help? And really being proactive from that standpoint. So we wanted it to be an all-inclusive app where it was mostly like for your health, for your well-being, and overall wellness.
That is awesome. God allowed you to choke on a fishbone so you could understand that you need to centralize everything. Yeah, I'll tell you, he's a great God.
Yes. Yes. I'm like, yes, God, thank you. Can we like not have any more incidents for a while? You're a girl, you're a strong soldier, needs a break.
Yes. So how can people find you on social media besides your website? How can they find Med Companion?
Yeah, so medcompanion.com. We also have our concierge website, which is mymedcc.com.
Okay. Mymedcc.com. Okay.
Mymedcc.com. But on social media, it's medcompanion.co for Instagram, Medcompanion Community for Facebook. And then you can find me by my name, Marly Brodsky, on Instagram. And there we're slowly adding more education, more resources. We have a lot of great resources coming up for 2025. So if it's looking to see what kinds of questions you should be asking after a new diagnosis, we have resources for that.
Wow. Thank you. And as I've always say about this podcast, it is all about resources, knowing the resources that we have to keep going on in life.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, Ms. Marly. You are now released from the stigma-free zone. Have a great, great day.
Thank you.